Gentlemen, good evening. For the next question, we'll begin with you, Mr. Rauner, and we'll continue on down the line. Illinois has been maligned for a perceived poor business climate. Governors from other states are running ads trying to convince businesses to leave. Major businesses are threatening to leave without incentives. But recently, we saw ADM stay in Illinois without incentives. The Chicago's tech startup scene is flourishing, and the state's in the middle of the pack, really, when it comes to corporate taxes. So my question is the business climate in the state getting better? And if not, what do you plan to do as governor specifically to make sure that it gets better?
Alex, we have one of the most hostile business climates of any state in America. And we have the highest unemployment rate in the Midwest. As a result, we have one of the highest unemployment rates of any state in the nation. We are hostile to business. One of the biggest surprises of the campaign trail for me is how many more companies are leaving the state than I even realized before I started campaigning a year ago. It's a deep problem. On lists of how CEOs and business owners rank Illinois, they rank Illinois towards the bottom. And it's outrageous. There's no good reason for it. We have great people. We have great location. We're the capital of the Midwest. We have great infrastructure, or we're letting it deteriorate. We should be kicking the tails of all the states around us, and instead they have lower unemployment rates than us. We have worse unemployment than Michigan. I mean, good grief. It's unacceptable. We need to reduce the regulatory burden on business primarily, but also the tax burden. Many business owners are sub-S corporations. They pay the personal income tax. And that's been raised, and they're talking about raising it more. That would be devastating to business. But we also have very high sales tax, use fees, and real estate taxes, and that hurts business owners. But we also need to reduce the regulatory burden. Workers' comp, tort system, litigation system, insurance costs, environmental restrictions, labor regulations. We are a regulation-heavy, restrictive, heavy bureaucracy state. We need to become pro-free enterprise, pro-growth again, so we are stealing businesses back from Indiana rather than the other way around.
Mr. Brady?
Well, you're absolutely right. There's nothing more important to the state than improving our economy and bringing the 200,000 jobs back we've lost over the last 5.5 years, which really means we need to work toward instill consumer and business confidence back in Illinois. Now, I would say pension reform was one of the first steps. It was important. We saved $180 billion in that proposal that will work to save taxpayers money and solidify the pensions for teachers and state employees, which was the first step, which was important. But the next step is absolutely got to be to deliver on the tax cuts that the Democrats promised. As Republicans, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that those tax increases the Democrats placed on families and businesses are lowered and reduced with the cuts that are scheduled to take, and I adamantly support that. No way, no how will we allow the Democrats to extend that. But they also need other specifics. In the area of workers' comp, they need causation, like other states, to reduce the cost, protecting injured workers, but making sure the premiums are fair. They need an educated workforce, which is why I call for abolishing the State Board of Education, ending the bureaucracy of Washington, D.C. and Springfield, empowering local school districts, parents and school board members and teachers to teach to the interest of the student, not some bureaucrat in Washington, D.C.'s idea of a test. We can make this the greatest state in the nation, but we have to do it by building consumer confidence. Once we build consumer confidence, the businesses will reinvest and take advantage of all the wonderful assets we have, starting with our great workforce and our people.
Mr. Rutherford?
Great. Well, let me start off that I've been 25 years in the private sector. I've been honored to be a citizen legislator, but I've served in the private sector with a Fortune 100 company that deals with small companies and large companies. So I come from an understanding like that. The other is a comment you made in regards to incentives. My contention is I want all these marquee companies to stay here in the state of Illinois, but we don't need to have special legislation drafted for just one company. If you're going to change the law because it's good for one company, change the law so it's all applicable for those of that same type of a company. Number three in this, we got to stop this negative attitude. Everybody's talking about how bad Illinois is. This is a great state. We've got so many things to offer. And let me tell you what I'll do as governor. Number one, I will be appointing directors of state agencies, boards and commissions, that their chief priority is to do their job within their agency, natural resources, aging, revenue, whatever it may be, but they will be responsible to me to help create a job and retain a job, not be the barrier to a job. Number two, my Lieutenant Governor, Steve Kim, will be in charge of the Governor's Office of Job Creation and Retention. So when you get that bureaucrat out there that's making it abundantly difficult for that small business particularly to operate here, that will be the place for the ombudsman, the portal to come into the system. And number three, I'm going to be the chief marketing officer. So when Chris Christie comes flying in and Rick Perry comes parachuting in from Texas, I'm going to be the guy that's chief marketing officer and sell Illinois.
Mr. Dillard.
Alex, 2 national surveys recently said Illinois' outlook for 2014 is dead last, 50th in America. I look forward to an Illinois when we don't have to incent or bribe anybody to come to Illinois to do business. We have the best natural resources. We are the capital of the Midwest, and we must get back our competitive advantage around the Midwest from our neighboring states. Along that line, my vision of this state is to make us a destination economy for people that create jobs. We are overtaxed, and we are greatly overregulated. My Lieutenant Governor candidate, who is here today, Jill Tracy from Quincy, her family started out of the back of a station wagon, and today they employ 2,000 individuals in the state of Illinois, 4,000 nationally. Jill Tracy and her Dot Foods business, in agriculture, redistribution business, knows what it's like every day to have to compete against Missouri or Indiana or the rest of the 50 states, and she's going to have another title. In addition to being the Lieutenant Governor, she's going to be known as the Repealer, and she's going to travel this state meeting with families and farmers and businesses, small and large, and saying what regulations stifle economic development of your business in the state of Illinois. So I look forward to the day we don't have to incent anybody to be here. I'm the sponsor of the Boeing legislation that brought them to Chicago and Navistar from Fort Wayne, Indiana to my district, but we always have to remember that small businesses need to also have the kinds of incentives that the big guys get.